Is there such thing as a perfect tool bag for the at-home DIYer? For years, I thought the answer was no. And after project after project of taking my little tool bag or grabbing my tools out of my tool chest that I thought I needed and going to my project, only to 5 minutes in decide that I needed another tool, and then another, and then another, and back and forth, up and down stairs, back and forth in the garage. I got so tired of it that I finally broke down and I said, I'm going to figure out how to make the perfect tool bag. So today I'm going to walk you through my personal DIY at-home tool bag. I certainly have way more tools than this, but this is the bag that I developed that I said, I need a bag that gets me 90 to 95% of the tools that I need for any given project, so I'm not going back and forth all the time trying to figure out what the right tools to have for the job are. So without any further ado, we'll get into it. We're going to start with what is the most important tool in the tool bag, which is your drill. I decided to go with the Milwaukee Fuel, the 4-in-1 drill driver kit. So what I really love about this drill is it's great ergonomically. It has a compact battery. And for people that have Milwaukee, you know, a lot of you are going to have some of these compact 12-volt batteries already. But the biggest thing here is the chuck that you can take on and off very easily here, right? So you can have your 1/4-inch adapter, or you can have any multitude of these other adapters. And then something else I have in this kit are a lot of these little husky bags for organization, so you'll see those. But, you know, the regular quarter bit or quarter quick attach works great in 99% of the situations. But those times that you're working in tight spaces and need to get in, having something like this offset that you can pop on instead by just doing a little number like this is fantastic. And you can orient it in different orientations if you need to. You know, it's great for cabinets. It's great when you're working in tight spaces, and it comes in handy all the time. But you also get a right angle attachment, and you get, you know, a regular colleted chuck. And with these, you can kind of use them in combination as well, right? So you can put this guy onto that guy, and then this onto there. So whatever you need, you can kind of set it up that way. It's a great drill. And then you've got a magnetic base here, so if you have a bit or something, you can throw it on there. If you've got some screws, it keeps it handy. There is a light here as well that makes everything nice and easy. You have a hook if you need it. You have a battery indicator. Like I said, the ergonomics are great. And I like that, you know, you have this kind of guard to just keep you from hitting your hands on stuff too. So this is just a fantastic little drill driver combo. You know, it's not going to replace your impact drill. You know, that certainly has way more power than this thing has. So if there's any one drawback to this, it is limited a little bit in your power. So if you're going to be building a deck on the back of your house or doing some real like framing, this may not be what you want to go to. But like I said, this is for the 90 to 95% of the projects that you do. So this is going to be, I'm putting a crib together for my new baby, or I need to, you know, attach something to a wall. I need to drive a bracket in for a TV, right? This can do all that kind of stuff. So that's the drill I like to have because it's compact, it's easy to carry, it's not too heavy, it gets the job done. It has dual modes, has a reverse, you can lock it out. Great ergonomically. So that is the drill that I go for, and I like that it has this hook because it hooks on the bag really nice. So probably the second most used tool that you're going to have in your bag, other than a drill, for your at-home kit is going to be your hammer. So this is one that I really love. It's a stiletto titanium, and this is the trim bone hammer. So it's technically a 10-ounce hammer, but it definitely swings with more power than that because of the titanium. This is a bit of a splurge. You know, I forgot to mention it on the drill. The drill, you can get this whole kit with a battery, with all the chucks and a little carrying case for it if you want. I believe it's about 140 bucks, 145 bucks. So I think that's a good deal. This is a little bit more of a splurge. You certainly don't need this. It runs just under 300 bucks, and they have a couple different variants. I actually have two, and you don't need to have both of them in your bag. You only need one, and this trim bone is going to get the job done. But I also have this 14 ounce as well. But I just love them because they're super lightweight. You know, they're easy to swing. They impart a lot of power when you're hitting, despite its lower ounce rating, because it is fully titanium. It has customizable handles, so you can get them in a multitude of colors, and they are replaceable. So if they get worn out or gross, you just take the screw out, you cut it off, and you slip the new one on and pop it on. The heads are replaceable, and you can do flat. You can do the waffle pattern. It has the magnet, you know, at the top. It has a side puller plus your regular puller. You know, this is easily replaceable. So it's a hammer that's going to last you a lifetime, especially if you're just, you know, doing DIY type stuff. So I splurged on it. Like I said, these are about $300 each, but you're also perfectly fine going and getting a $20, $30 hammer from Home Depot or Lowe's, like this 16-ounce DeWalt. So just for comparison, you can see that 16-ounce is smaller than the 10-ounce here, but this thing can drive way better than this. But this will do just fine. Like if you're mostly just going to be hanging pictures or doing trim or, you know, general things like that, this is what I originally had in my bag. But being that it's, you know, steel instead of titanium, it's way heavier. So I prefer having the stilettos just for the lightweightness. Like I don't have a scale here, but if I had to venture to say, this guy that's bigger probably weighs about 50% less than this guy in sum total. Well, I guess the 16-ounce versus 10-ounce would say that too. So anyway, so hammer, also important thing. Love the stiletto, but you're going to be fine with any kind of hammer that you have as well. Next thing you want to always have too, that I throw on top of my bag, is just a little pair of gloves, right? Safety first. Always want to have a good pair of gloves. I like these little cobalt ones. Got like some leather-like material here on the palm with a little bit of grip to them. They're comfortable inside. They've got the Velcro strap. So I love having a pair of these. Typically I'll also have a throwaway pair there as well if I'm doing anything with like chemicals, but you know, they're a dime a dozen, the gloves, but have some. They're there for your safety. Next up is a good tape measure. So I don't think you need a huge one. Since you're going with this compact bag, you know, I think like a 16-foot is plenty big enough. And, you know, a 20 plus, 30 plus foot tape measure can be part of what you grab if you have that special project that you know is going to need it. And one thing that I like to couple with this as well that I keep in my bag is this nice little cobalt laser. So if I do need something longer than 16 foot, I can just pull out the laser, turn this on, change the units, you know, and it shines the laser and gives you a distance to the back or to the front of the laser. But for tape measure, I really like this chameleon self-lock you can pull out, and then you don't have to hold the button. I love ones that have that functionality. You know, it's got white on the bottom side or the yellow, so no matter what you prefer, you've got it. You know, it snaps back in nice, but it's not too crazy. It's a nice, safe option. Good contrast. You do have, you know, all the numbering. Let's see if I can get it to focus here, you know, down at the bottom. So you don't have to sit there and necessarily count all of the little tick marks if you don't do it every day and know exactly what number you're looking at based off the side rule. So that is a nice function to have on this guy as well. So just a nice little small tape measure, 16 feet is a great thing, a great distance. Plus you can get one of these guys as well. So tape measure. So next let's get into the screwdrivers. So I like this little Toughbuilt. Toughbuilt makes some good products. They're more innovative. And the thing that I really liked about this particular one is that it came with this module that has bits in it, right? So you of course have your selectability, so you can have it locked or you can have it ratcheting, right? It's a nice size. It's got a nice little rubber grip here that gives you just that extra little bit, kind of like the blackout look. But then you have all these different bits that come in this nice little housing that you can then spin around and find what you need. So let's say this is what you need right here. You slide that on, and now you have your screwdriver, right? With whatever bits you need. So I just like that little setup. Wasn't too expensive. I think it was like 30 bucks, 20 or 30 bucks. So it kind of has everything that you need. And it has this nice little extension if you want it as well, and it retracts back in. So if you need to pull it off your bag a little bit, you can quickly grab the bits that you need, and they're right there exposed. So I love that it's exposed on the outside. So yeah, this little Toughbuilt TB H5 R10. Great little screwdriver. Again, you know, there's a million screwdrivers you can get, and I actually carry a couple. So I have 2 other ones here. A really great brand that you can go with for any of your tools too is Klein. They make great stuff as well. So I carry 2 of those in the bag. I like to have this little stubby guy so that, you know, when I need to get into a tighter space, I have it. And then this is nice because it can be extended if you need it to. It has these integrated sockets on it, and you can still have your regular bits. Plus the bottom has bit storage as well for all your common bits that you're going to have. And then this guy just keep from a safety perspective, but it is super lightweight. But you twist this, comes unlocked, right? So you have your Phillips and you have your flathead, but this is fully insulated. So when you're doing anything electrical wise, I always grab this. So if I'm working on an outlet or a panel box or anything, even though I have the power off, just as an extra piece of precaution, I love having this guy in the bag so that I can be nice and safe. So 1,000-volt rating on this guy to an ASTM standard, so you know it's been tested well. So this is just a great little Klein screwdriver, and I like the little stubby guy as well. So keep those in the bag as well. All right, next up, let's keep talking about bits. So one of the most used things I have in my bag is this little thing from Railer. So this is a brand that I found on Amazon that I really love. I find myself putting together a lot of furniture and things for my house, and never fails that they're always the hex bit things, and they're wanting you to use Allen keys that they give you with the product. And you're sitting there and you're turning it and you're turning it and you're turning it forever, and I hate it. So that's why I wanted to get out and get some of these guys so I can throw them in my drill, so I can take those projects that have to put something together down from an hour to 5 minutes because I can power drive it. So I got this guy that has a full set of all the typical sizes you'd see, and got the ball end. So if I can't get it directly on, I have to be canted a little bit, I can. But I love this guy because you can, you know, pull these little guys out, and they are a little stiff in here. I will give you that. So I try to wiggle it out. So they are a little stiff to get out, but once you get them out, they're great to use, and then they're a lot easier to get back in, right? So you can pop that in your drill. Then when you're done, all you have to do is feed it through the bottom, kind of push it in. It's good to go again. You know they're not going to come out and just randomly fall out. So I love that guy. And I also keep this set too. So I bought both of them at the same time. Didn't know which one I'd like better. I tend to just use the ball end ones all the time. So looking at the other bit sets that I have as well, I also like to carry this Milwaukee set of drill bits. Looks like I've had one that's fallen out here. So it's just a nice little set. It goes from 1/16 up to 3/8, which is going to get you, again, 90 to 95% of what you need. I love that they work with the quarter. Even the 3/8, you know, has that 1/4 inch quick connect style. So you don't have to switch out what you're using in your drill if you're doing screws. So I love that. Love the slim compact case. 15 different bits in there. Titanium. So really nice little set. This looks like it's the 4889 4670 set. So, and these look like they're also good for using with a impact drill. So you've got that if you need it too, if you do need to grab your impact drill. And you know, these screw sets and drill bit sets are a dime a dozen. Every major manufacturer has them. You don't need to go searching specifically at a certain store to find any of this stuff, but these are just ones that work well for me. So the next kit I like is this Makita kit. So just kind of a typical set, but I love the black and kind of, you know, satin finish on this. I think it just looks nice. I love that it has a little flip out things in here. You know, I've had other ones from DeWalt that are similar, but they kind of slide out and everything flies everywhere. So this one I just love. It has a nice little, you know, diversity in its set. You've got plenty of Phillips. You've got your square bits. You've got your standard torque bits and Phillips in longer length, right? You've got a quarter adapter, which is really important. This is something crucial to have for the next thing I'm going to show. You've got some standard quarter and 5/16 that you're going to carry. You've got your more Torx sizes up here as well. So it's just a nice little kit. It just works really well. It has a little bit of everything that you need. Again, nice and compact. So I've got that as well. And then to round out the last two bit sets, I'll start out with this guy, which is you always want to have a set of smaller bits. So forgive me if I pronounce the name wrong, but I don't see these around a lot in any of the big box stores, but you can get them on Amazon. But it's a nice little kit. It's just a tiny screwdriver. I like that it has the little spin. So if you put this in your palm and need to do a little fine work with your fingers, you can. But I like that it condenses down really small, and then you have the extension in here as well. You can pop in, and you have all of your much smaller bits that your bigger kits typically don't have. Because it never fails that you're going to run into something that needs a T6 or T7 Torx, or a smaller Phillips size, like a 0 or a 00, when you're working on little projects. So it's nice to have that little kit as well to carry around. Again, super compact, wasn't too expensive on Amazon. And then the last thing from a bit set standpoint, and this is just, you know, on the cheaper budget side, but it doesn't have to, these tools don't have to be expensive. They just have to be functional, and they have to be well organized if you want this smaller, you know, setup. So we got this nice Husky ratchet set. So you get the little ratchet in there. You don't need anything crazy, and you've got all the different bits. And then that's where the 1/4 inch adapter comes in really handy there, because that's what fits on these guys. So then you can take these with the 1/4 inch and then pop them directly onto your drill or onto your screwdriver or whatever else. So if you're working with a socket and it's not something that you need to ratchet and you just need to drive it quickly, you got the capability there. So this guy's a little bit thicker and bulkier than I would like, because of the insert on the inside. It could certainly be smaller maybe if I, you know, kind of 3D printed my own or something, but these are kind of my bit sets that I have that get me where I'm going. I think if I made one other change, I would probably get a railer set that is Torx, and then take this guy out of the bag, since Torx and hex tend to be the two most prevalent outside of a Phillips that are needed. So, all right, so let's clear all this out of the way and move on to wrenches and pliers. So the first thing that I put into the bag, carry-wise, was this little set of adjustable pliers. So it's got the flat joint here, and you've got the quick little adjustment mechanism that if you push down this button, you can ratchet it in, and it kind of has a self-aligning jaw there. And this is also from Klein Tools, so this is the D53010. And if you come all the way down here at the end, you can slide this off and flip this around as well, so that you can use the side. If you don't need the flat and you need something that grips more, you can use the side here that has the teeth. I like to keep it with the flat. I really like having these flat adjustable wrenches because it allows you to not mar up the surface that you're working on. You know, a lot of what I run into is I need to be tightening things that are plumbing wise related to my kitchen or the shower heads on my shower, and I don't want to tear them up. So it's nice to have these nice flat teeth that don't get in the way and don't chew things up. But for the times that you do, I also like to have this little Crescent brand set of pliers as well. And this is more of a manual. And this one's nice because you can put it like this, and then it auto tightens for you to the width that you need, using what they call this little auto bite. But you can flip it out of the way and turn it off if you don't want to use it. So really nice little Crescent RTA B8CG is the model number on these. And these are a little bit smaller. You know, certainly some people might need something bigger than this, but I mean, these are pretty good size. But so these kind of function as a slightly smaller option and have that auto bite. If you want to go a little more premium, Knipex is a huge brand in the space that a lot of people love as well. Also, something you always need is a pair of needle nose pliers. This is just a super cheap Work Pro pair. This is probably one of the things that I'll upgrade next in this bag. Not because I don't like these, they function fine for what they are. But I would like something that's just maybe a little bit more premium, maybe has a little bit of spring back to them. I think that would be nice as well. But this is just a cheap little set that I picked up, again, when I went to the store to kind of fill out this bag. But they get the job done. Got to have a pair of needle nose pliers. And then kind of also in this space, you can talk about wire stripping. So this is the newest addition to my bag. This is a Milwaukee wire stripper. It can do 10 to 20 gauge wire with the stripping. So it's a nice little guy that's going to auto strip. It has a cutter here as well if you need to cut anything down. You can adjust the length by pulling this in and out, and you have a little set screw to tighten it. Right, so it's got some nice adjustments to it. And I love these styles that just kind of auto do it for you. When you put the wire in, pull it, pulls it apart. I find these to be a little bit more reliable and easier to do. And you can usually have something like, you know, these where you can kind of hand grip and rip the wire if you need to as well. So those are relatively new to the bag. To replace an old set I had. I really like them. At the same time, I also got these little electrician shears as well, which, I mean, I don't think these are necessarily needed within the bag, but I like having a small little set of scissors that are super tough, that are able to cut through just about anything to keep in the bag. And then I also have this pair of Weiss titanium coated scissors that are much larger, very ergonomic. You know, has nice spring back to it. So these are great. I've had these in there for a while. They've got a nice lock. They slide down in nicely to the bag. Weiss makes great products. I've had a lot of their scissors for years. I've kept in my car, other things, and they've just never failed. They've never really worn out. They stay sharp for a long time. So I really like those as well. So I believe that takes care of the scissors and the pliers, but I will show two other things here that kind of go into that same realm. So one, I like to keep a little multi-tool. So little Leatherman Wingman. I won't say this is the best Leatherman by any means, but it's nice to just have an extra little set of things. So you can see these have been around the block. I haven't taken the best care of them. But, you know, if you want to have one little tool, like a little pair of spring-loaded needle nose pliers, that if these guys fail, you can have that in there too. And if you need something that can pry or to cut, it's just kind of nice to have that in the bag as well. So I keep it in there, even though it adds a little bit of weight. And then from a knife perspective, I have a couple in here. And it's because there's a few different, you know, reasons to use any of these. So one that I keep is this nice, really compact razor blade that comes from Olight. It's their brand, Otical. So they tend to, you can see the O knife there, maybe if it focuses. It's not going to focus. But, you know, they kind of have all of their lights, but they also have a lot of other little utility tools that they do underneath these different brands. So it's a nice replaceable razor blade. Every little tool bag needs one. I love how compact this is. And since I have other knives in here as well, I don't need anything that's like super, super robust. So it's just kind of nice to have a little carbon fiber, little axis lock style mechanism there that's easy to use. So then for kind of my knife that I can beat and bang a little bit, and again, I'm probably going to mess this up, but it's the Morakiv. Don't know the name, but anyway, There's the name for anybody who wants to figure out how to pronounce it correctly. But these guys, just stainless steel knife, nothing crazy on the steel, but they are nice and sharp, and they're super cheap, and they're easy to sharpen. And, you know, if you beat it up, bang it up, need to throw it away, no harm, no foul, because it's a nice little cheap knife. But you still have good grip on it. And so when you really need to like dig into something, you don't need a super long knife and are just working on something to cut or score or something, it's just nice. It's easy to pop this out. It comes with this little plastic sheath, so it also fits in the bag nicely as well. And then this one is, again, a more premium item, but the Spyderco Enough. I believe this is the Enough 2, but it comes with this little plastic sheath with a little leather strap to keep it safe. But the special thing about this is it is in a K390 steel, which just keeps its edge forever. Super sharp little knife. The corrosion resistance is not great on this, so I will say you have to be careful with keeping this oiled and making sure that it's not going to be, you know, in a super damp environment, or after you use it, you may not want to throw it back in the sheath if it's a little bit wet, right? You really have to take care of it, but this thing is going to always stay sharp no matter kind of what you throw at it. Spyderco is a great brand. K390 is a fantastic steel. So a more premium option, but it's a nice little, you know, fixed blade knife, good size, that's going to be able to get you through anything. And so, you know, if I had to make a different choice here, I think another good option, which I actually have down with me while I'm filming this, and so I'll grab it and show you, could be to grab the Benchmade Dacian. This one, also more premium knife, great size, comes with the leather and Kydex sheath in its 2025 version, but this is a MagnaCut blade, so this is going to be much more resistant to any rusting or any, you know, effects of water. Plus, it's still got really great properties for staying sharp and being tough, but just not quite as sharp or tough or edge retention, I guess I should say, as the Spyderco. So another good option there as well. But that's not the one I keep in my bag right now. I keep the Spyderco. So let's move all of these out of the way now. So we've got the cutting and the pliers out of the way, and show what else. So one other thing I forgot to mention is that, you know, with the hammers, right, you also typically want to have something that can hit a little bit softer. So another thing I love about these stilettos is that you can buy these little caps for them. So you put this on the end, and now this becomes basically a soft rubber cap that you can blow with, and this one's a little bit harder rubber, I believe. So you have a couple of options there that you don't have to carry a full rubber mallet with you. You can just have those little caps as well. All right, something else you need to have in your bag is a good level. I'll call this a little speed level. This one's by Empire. I love that it has magnets built into it, and that you have 4 different you know, levels integrated in. So no matter which orientation you're in, you have the little set screw that if you need to attach this to something, you can do that as well. It's aluminum, so it's lightweight, but it's very durable. So I love that guy. Let's see what else we have in the bag. Should have done this with bits, but I have one more little organizer bag with just a bunch of different little handy bits to have. So I've got this nice Milwaukee extension here with a quick connect, right? I've got this little guy, just when you run into something, maybe like a little wing nut type thing that you have to tighten, you can put it in here, and it's going to still kind of be able to grip and turn around no matter what the size and shape is. This is just if you have a really, really tight scenario, you can ratchet this little guy and put whatever type of bit you need on there. So I like having it in there as well. There you can show how good the magnet is on this guy. And then, again, just a nice little set of adapters. So that's one thing that I always find myself losing and needing to buy more of, are these like little adapters for the sockets. So just having this extra little set, But I really like this little Husky set that has all three. So you've got a quarter, you got 3/8, and you got the half all right there together. And again, it's nice to just have these little Husky pouches. I like the ones that have a little bit of see-through, so you can see which one you're grabbing when you're looking in the bag. All right. Next up, a few other things that were buried down in the bag, so I didn't see them when I was doing this segment. Screwdriver. So I've got another little fine point Klein. This is more of a duplicate from the Wea one that I had. So you really probably don't need both, but I tend to have both in here just because I like Klein tools. And this one's a little more accessible, but doesn't have as many bits. So nice little guy that has like an 8-in-1 bit storage in there. So it has your common bits, but not some of the lesser common ones, or sorry, the lesser ones that you would use. But still a nice little set for some of those micro bits that you have. And then I do have this tiny little pair of crescent wrenches. I don't really know that I need this for anything. I was just interested in getting something similar to Knipex, and this is what I found at the store. And so I have it, and I haven't had an occasion to use it, but it's super lightweight. So I just go ahead and keep that in there as well. All right. Next up, it's always good to have a couple little pry bars in your kit. So I keep... I have these little blue pry bars. These are metal, little coated ones. Believe these might be Irwin, but I just got these from my local home goods store or retail store that are super easy to use, super compact, just when you need that prying mechanism as you do jobs. And then another thing to do, I got this little kit off of Amazon from Titan. It actually came with like 20 or 30 different little pry bars, but these are great to have if you're working on automotive or anything that you can damage. You need help getting stuff popped off or pried off or get underneath a snap without breaking it. These are great to have as well. So picking out a couple that you like out of a kit and grabbing those is super, super useful to have as well. All right, I did mention before having a utility knife and not having a bigger one. I lied. I do have a bigger one in there. So I have this little Cobalt replaceable one. It's a little bit chunky, so you know, it's not, I wouldn't say this is one that you have to go have. Again, they're a dime a dozen for these guys, so I'd like to have one that's a little more compact. One thing I do like about this, though, it's got a little bit of jimping on top and a nice jimping on bottom, so if you really need to choke up on something, you can. And I like that it is a button lock so that, you know, you can close it one-handed and you can open it one-handed and have it be nice and easy and accessible as you're doing projects. All right, next up, it's a little punch. This is a little 7-inch Irwin punch. It's meant to be a really fine point for, like, you know, actually tapping, creating a little hole with your hammer, or I like to use it to mark spots for nails on the wall when I'm hanging stuff up or punching little pilot holes. But, you know, even though it's not what it's meant to be used for, you might be able to see this is blunted just a little bit. I've also used this to kind of hammer out things that are stuck, so I can put a point load and hammer on it. So it's nice to just have one of those little guys around as well in your kit. Another thing for when you inevitably drop something is to have a nice little extension magnet that can pick things up, can help clean up at the end of a project, and also retrieve things if you need as well. So this is just one nondescript, non-branded one that I found in the store. I would like for it to be a little bit longer than just that one extension, but it is nice to have in there as well. And then something people may not think about is a lighter. So you could certainly go with a standard lighter, you know, like a Zippo, but I really like this one. I can't remember the brand of this. Oh, here it is. Who knows how to pronounce that? Koglins, maybe. But one thing I really like about this is it's an arcing lighter. So you don't have an actual flame, just have that little arc, But because of that, it's generated by electricity, so you can recharge it and keep reusing this, and you don't have to buy refills or whatever. It has a little integrated flashlight in there as well. Not that I would use this for my flashlight, but if you need to burn off the end of rope or paracord or start a little fire for some reason, this is a nice guy to have in your bag, and I really like that it is rechargeable. All right, also going along with like pry bars, a good little putty knife is always good to have. So just grab these kind of my local Ace when I needed them, when I was looking around. So it's always good to have a flexible style one and one that is a little bit stiffer. So this is kind of a multi-use. It's got a little bit of a blade here on it. You can wrench things, you can pry things. This one's got a little bit more of a blade on it, so you can get under and scrape better with it. It even has integrated screwdriver, which you can put in the end here, which I don't know why I would ever use that function, because a screwdriver is a lot better to use than that. But you never know when you're going to need to scrape or bend or flex under something. So having some little putty knives or something as well is also great. All right, let's see what else. So we'll move into lighting. So again, another thing, it always happens that when you're working on a project, you have to get in a space that's too tight that you can't see what you're doing. So a little extension inspection light is something great to have. This is a little Cobalt, and it has little integrated LED lights in it with batteries that you can replace. So I've had this one for years. There's probably a rechargeable version now, which is what I would recommend if it exists. But this has been really handy that, when you need to get and look underneath something before you get started on a project, or if you lose something and it folds up really small, is a great thing to have in your bag as well. I carry 2 flashlights generally in this bag. I really like Ryobi tools for the DIYer. There's certainly a lot of different brands out there that you could go with. But for price to value ratio, I think you can't really beat Ryobi. They're affiliated with Milwaukee. Milwaukee owns them now. So you've got a company that does care. And these products still do hold up. For the at-home DIYer, you don't need to worry about these things wearing out. They're going to last you 10, 15 years or more, depending on how much you use them. So if you're, a tradesman that's using something every day, sure, get Milwaukee, go get DeWalt, go get Makita. But when you're just working at home, like the innovativeness that Ryobi has, the willingness to go create tools for real problems that people have and not worry about how many they're going to sell. And then, the modularity of all their battery systems, they just work well. So anyway, so this is one that I have. Most of my tools that I have power tool wise are Ryobi. So, with this bag, it's not going to be your end all be all for every single project you do. If you're doing a lot of word working that particular day, you might want to grab your circular saw. Or if you're going to do drywall work, you might want a little drywall cutting tool, right? So there's always going to be something else you might grab and throw in this bag too. But this bag is meant to prevent you from having to run back and forth all the time, getting different tools. So I like having a spotlight, flashlight. This one has a couple different levels. And I also love that this one also, if you can see it down there, has a laser pointer. So that can be super helpful when working with somebody else to kind of illuminate what you're trying to show them. It has the movable head, so you can orient it however you need it to. It has a magnetic base. And then this runs off of their little lithium circular battery setup. So it's easy to charge, and it's easy to keep a couple extra batteries handy if you need it. So I've got that one. And then I like to have this little area light as well, which again, you can adjust to different angles. This also turns. So nice and compact. Also has a magnet, also has a rechargeable battery, and just has a nice little, area light. And it's great because of the magnet. You can stick it where you're working and be able to get that throw of light. So that is another light that I keep in my bag as well. From a writing perspective, I do keep a pencil in there, so just this little Dixon pencil. And I do have this C.H. Hansen pencil pull. So, you know, you can put this on your pants or on your shirt or whatever while you're working on a project, so that you don't lose your pencil, because I always do. I can never remember where I set it down. So it's nice to be able to have this little guy, you know, and you can use this with, you know, a Sharpie or something as well, which is nice. So it brings me to the next thing, which is I carry two pro level Sharpies, a red and a black. Nice little fine points on them, but they can write on anything. They're pretty robust. They work in wet and dry. So nice little thing to have in the bag as well. All right, we're getting down to it. Last few tools that we have hanging out in here. So anybody that's doing anything in your home will always know that one of the biggest pains that you can run into is trying to find studs and punching holes that you didn't mean to punch because you couldn't find what you're looking for. And I have used low-end, cheap stud finders, and they're just not 100%. So this Zircon stud finder has been fantastic since I got this guy. I have not had any problems with finding studs accurately. Originally I had a lower cost one, and I was doing something in my garage. I had a textured ceiling trying to find the studs, and I ended up driving like 20 holes before I found a stud, because that little bit of texture was enough that it wasn't allowing me to find this. So this is just a nice little guy that can do stud scanning. For wood studs, it can scan deeper, it can scan for metal studs, and it can also find electricity in the wall. So it's really great, multifunctional. I've never had to replace the battery in this guy, and I've used it a ton, so it does last forever. So this is a great tool as well. Got to have a good stud finder in your bag. And then I also have this little Klein Tools voltage tester. So I use this basically as a sniffer to tell me whether or not there's power in the line. So safety is always first, especially when dealing with electricity. So I like having this so that I can make sure that when I get the power off, that I've actually got the power off to the right thing, so that I'm not going to have a safety issue as I'm working on a project. Let's see. So what else is in the bag? Like I said, I do carry an extra battery for each of the Ryobi and for the Milwaukee, just so you always have those. Again, that's one reason why I like these tools. This is super small to carry. So is the 12 volt Milwaukee. So they go in the bag nicely, easy to carry, lightweight. Because the other thing you don't want is you don't want this bag weighing 600 pounds when you're trying to carry it around. Then you're not going to want to carry it. So that's why it's great to have these smaller items to carry. So aside from the bag, that gets us down to the last item, which is having a little carabiner that you can clip on with a nice little assortment of different tapes. So what I've got here is I've got some Teflon tape for sealing threads when I'm doing water projects. I've got some electrical tape for when I'm doing electricity. I've got some nice multi-use duct tape style tape or Gorilla style tape. And then I do have some Gorilla tape here as well. And I believe this is more for water environments. I've not really used this one much since I put it on here. But, you know, just having a nice assortment of whatever type of tape you like to have. You know, masking tape would be good to have on here as well. But you can clip it on the side of your bag. And, you know, it's there. It's easy to dispense off of here. So it's a nice little thing to have as well. So that is all the items that go in the bag. And then the bag itself that I have is a Husky bag. There's a million great bags that you can buy. Sorry for all the noise as I'm pulling everything out of the bag here. I wasn't thinking this through in the beginning, so I've got to unload the tools so that I can show you the bag itself. So anyway, there's a million and one different bags that you can go with. And bags these days, some of them are just outrageously expensive. And I didn't want to pay $300 or $400 after I'm buying all these nice tools. So I just liked getting this nice little Husky bag. So it's got two little pockets here in the front that can store things in, right? You turn it on its side and you've got some storage pouches here, some smaller ones and some deeper ones. Same thing over on this side and same thing on the last side. And so I love that the storage is more on the outside. A lot of these bags have a lot of these pockets put on the inside like this, but all the way around. And I find that it makes it too cumbersome. So I really like having this space be more wide open. You know, there is some mounting like rail stuff here. You've got a nice metal handle with a nice pad. You have strap points that if you want to do a shoulder strap, you can. But what I love is, you know, with these toolkits, these little boxes, these just fit down in here great when you're loading them in. So you can keep all your tools easily accessible on the outside, you know, like your screwdrivers or whatever, right? So you can put those down in these pockets. You can use these other ones to store things like, you know, your pliers. And then you have all the internal space here that you can load everything in. And then when you're all done, your drill with that nice little hook just slides on nicely and sits in there as well. So that's why I like this little Husky bag. It wasn't too expensive. It didn't break the bank. So that's why I went with it, as opposed to some of like the Milwaukee Packout style ones. Like I said, there are some really great bags out there, and there's probably better ones than this. But this was just the perfect size, perfect weight for what I wanted to do. So anyway, that's my bag. You know, this channel generally is dedicated to EDC items, and I really thought this would be a good video to do because, you know, EDC doesn't just mean, to me, what you carry in your pocket. EDC is about having the right tools at the right time. And this is one of the biggest pain points I always had when doing projects around my house, or when I needed to grab stuff and, you know, take it with me in the car and do a project for my parents or a friend or whatever else, right? You always had these little trips, so you had to go back and forth to find the right tools. So for me, this represents about, like I said, 90-95% of anything I ever need. And I can just grab that one or two other tools that I need for a specific project, you know, as I'm going out the door or as I'm coming into the house to do the project, so I don't have to, you know, continually go back and forth grabbing one or two tools at a time. And it's nice and lightweight. Well, I won't say it's lightweight. It's nice and carryable, right? So anyway, so that's my setup. There's certainly things that maybe if you're more geared towards like cars, you might want, you know, more crescent wrenches. If you're more into plumbing, you might want, you know, an adjustable wrench more than the kind of wrenches that I have in here, or the pliers that I have in here. So you certainly want to tailor this to what you know you're going to be doing most. But for me, general at-home projects, Mr. Fix-It handyman type stuff, this is the setup that I like to have. And I think it's a great setup, great tools. You know, I've been happy with most of these brands that I've gotten. So I think it's a great setup. And you know what? I forgot one thing. Last thing, you always want to have a good little speaker. So one I like, you know, I'm a golfer too. Bushnell makes some good stuff. This one's nice because it has a magnet that can stick, and it's nice and compact, and it has a little carabiner, and I think it lasts about 10 hours on charge. Or if you want to have some more commonality and a little bit more power, there's this nice little Ryobi one as well. It's got some nice shock resistant material, and this runs off of the same batteries that the other tools do as well. So it can either give you an extra battery if you need it, or if, you know, you need to listen to tunes all day long and you run out of power, you can switch those out without having to charge it. So anyway, that's another thing you can throw in there as well. So, I know this is a long video, but there's a lot of tools in here. Hopefully you guys found this useful. If you could, like and subscribe to my channel. You know, I really want to do more. I want to bring more EDC content, more tool-related content. You know, just stuff that the everyday person wants to see what other people are doing. What have they found out? What solutions do they have? And to do that, I need more subscribers. I need more views so that I can monetize the channel and be able to purchase things to look at, to review, to show you guys so I can have the latest and greatest information. So even if you didn't love this video and you thought, oh, he rambled on for too long, I'd still really appreciate it if you could just subscribe to help me out now. And you can go unsubscribe, you know, in a couple months if you get tired of my videos if you want to. But it'd be great if you could help me out now, grow the channel. So go down, like, and subscribe below. I'll also have the majority of these tools links down below. If you want to purchase anything, you just click on the link and it'll take you straight to where it's at. I'll do my best to find the exact items or as close an item as exists today that I can get to it. You know, I do have affiliate with Amazon and a few other places. So I will get a little bit of a kickback for that. And again, that helps me make more videos. So without any more, thank you. I appreciate you watching. Check in again. This has been CarryCode. And make sure to like and subscribe below. Thanks.